Picked up a new recruit today. What excites you about her?
It's a big one for us. It really is. Maddie's she's a really dynamic athlete that we need, and especially with losing Shauna in that spot. We recruited really hard. Billy did most of the work, and we found her in the summer, and she came to camp, and we've been working it ever since. But she signed last night. I was on my way to the letter jacket award ceremony. She called me. I almost drove off the road, but it's exciting. It really finishes off our class the way we needed it. And with Kristen Ray and now Maddie, we have 3 kids that fill a lot of different positions of need, and the kind of people that I think our fans are going to enjoy watching.
Sounded like the call caught you by surprise. Were you expecting some news?
We didn't know. She had texted me and said she was going to try and call. We obviously yesterday was the last day you could sign early, so we tried to figure out if we were going to get an answer or not, and then have a plan after that. But we had not heard all day, so everyone's kind of like, well, maybe we're not going to hear. And so I texted her on my way, and I said I'm going to be out unavailable for an hour. And 5 minutes later, she called and told me. So those are the fun calls to get. You don't get very many of those, but those are the fun ones.
As for the game against Drake upcoming, I know you guys were talking about defensive rebounds and how Shauna can't get all of them. Mm-hmm. What have you been doing in practice to kind of get those rebounds and kind of get those skills improved for them?
Well, we didn't practice yesterday. We had a day off. But today will be, we'll sprinkle in some Drake stuff, but today will be a lot about us. We try and keep on a 2-day cycle of preparing for games. But Drake's whoever the Hilton people better make sure the scoreboard's working Sunday. Between the men's game and our game, they're going. Those lights better work because there's going to be a lot of points scored on Sunday at Hilton. So they're a very dynamic offensive team. They played Creighton tonight. They had 99 in their first game. Lizzie Wendell's as good an offensive player as we'll see all year, Big 12 or otherwise. So we got to be really good, and we got to be better at the things that you and I exploited, like the defensive rebounding and some defensive errors. And transition defense will be huge for us. We've got to be better in transition because they're really good at pushing the ball. So, and they play a different style of defense. They're very much a matchup zone team. So, trying to work through that is going to be a new thing for us. We don't see a lot of zone normally. K-State plays zone, but other than that, we don't see a lot of it. So, we got a lot of stuff to cover in the next couple of days.
Has this turned into kind of a nice little rivalry because, last year's game and then the year before was a pretty good game too?
Yeah, no, it has been. It has been that way. And I think all these games in state have their own little identity, the way teams play. And some of the Drake rivalry is kind of going back a long time. They've had a history of being a very good team, and Jenny's done a really good job of putting her stamp on the program. And you look at the way they're playing, and like I said, Lindsay Wendell's preseason player of the year, Caitlin Engel's an all-conference player, and their style is relatively unique. The pace that they play, the way they try and score, the way they defend. So it's one of those games that you get the emotion of and effort that it needs, and like a conference game or a postseason game. So you go from you and I right to Drake. So this is a week early in the year we knew would be a big week for us, and we gotta play that way.
Are they kind of the anti-Big 12 type team in terms of everything that they do on offense?
Kind of, yeah, they are. They're a lot of motion. And that's a hard thing. You can't simulate that in practice. They do a lot of stuff that, the way they cut, the way they read defenses. So you got to be more fundamental and go back to this is the way you fundamentally guard. You don't guard their actions. You're wasting your time trying to figure that out. So, but the Big 12's not that way. We have some teams that play fast, but not that fast. And the way they have kids that can really get out and run. And, I'm watching video, and I don't know how many times I've seen Lizzie Wendell the other team scores, and she's got a layup at the other end. They're very committed to pushing the ball, early offense, and, they have a lot of kids that can score in a variety of ways. But certainly when you have a kid that can go out and get 34 like she did against North Dakota and dictate the pace of play, and then you have a point guard that that manages the game really well. That's a good combination, and the other kids feed off of that. And we certainly had enough trouble with it last year, and I'm sure we'll have more than our share of difficulties with it this year.
When it comes to, you said that Drake is one of the few zone teams that you'll face. I mean, do you kind of press into them a lot about zone, since not a whole lot of teams do it, or is this just kind of like a one-time deal? And
yeah, you know, we don't see it a lot. Obviously, Kansas State's a zone team, but it's not something that you see as many teams commit to over 40 minutes. I mean, Drake will sprinkle in some man and some three-quarter core pressure, but their core defense is a matchup zone look. So it is, and that's the great thing about basketball and preseason basketball is you know, we go from a style that we saw Tuesday night to a completely different style on Sunday night, and then there'll be a different one on Tuesday night, and that means your players have to be understanding of adapting to a system and the nuances that you go through, and you know, you add a play or two, you change your defense a little bit to be specific to your opponent. So you know, you gotta do it in practice, and you know that this is when, as coaches, you're like, hey, we got to do it, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so that we're ready on Sunday. You're not going to show up play Drake on Sunday without having some real good preparation, because they're good, number one, in their style. So you combine those two things, it creates some problems.
When you look at what Wendell can do, who do you match up on her?
I think anytime you play really good offensive players, you got to have a team concept. You know, it's old. You got one person, Gardner, and then everyone else is getting ready to help. And you can't stop her from scoring. She shoots. You know, she took 23 shots in their first game, and no one else took more than 8. And to her credit, she'll score in transition. She'll shoot the three. I think the biggest thing is try and take away transition baskets. Don't commit silly fouls. Make it a hard 20, not an easy 35 kind of thing. Make them a volume shooter. Make her shoot the ball a lot. Make her defend. Hopefully get her in foul trouble a little bit. So there's a lot of things that you try and do, but a lot of people have tried. And then you look at her track record and you know what she's done there. When you're averaging and scoring the way she's scoring, number one, you're talented, and number two, they've developed a system that allows her to play that way, and it's really fit her skill set, and that's a credit to the coaching staff and to her, because she's like I said, she's as good an offensive player as we'll see all year.